So this is our creative project, and we choose upper elementary students when we are conducting this project. So my name is Ezley bin Majusang Elias Pardi, A159326. So yeah, for the introduction, we all know that English is considered as a second language in Malaysia, and so that we carried out a lot of activities, and our focus is to see the proficiency level of elementary students, their learning styles, problems faced in learning English, and improvement in language skills through the practice. And our participant is 5 elementary school students who are native speakers of Bahasa Malaysia, and for them we have conducted 8 activities that involves all parts of speech, listening, speaking, writing, and reading. All of these parts, they have 2 activities each.
So my name is Hafiz bin Rajab. So I'm going to explain about the major problems and issues of our topic. So the first one is more than 35% of elementary school students scored below the minimum English competency levels. This is from the Malaysia education blueprints. So obviously 6 years of primary schooling did so little in our student mastery over the English language. The significant problem faced by our elementary students are usually pronunciations, lack of vocabulary, grammatical error, reading comprehension, and speaking, and also listening. So next point is interference of the native language. So as we all know that our students is also taught in Malay language. The bilingual education system in Malaysia requires all primary students to learn Bahasa Malaysia. However, the main emphasis is placed on the acquisitions of Malay language. So the national and official language of Malaysia is the medium of instruction in all government elementary schools. So it is hard for the students to further their improvement in English language, as all the instructions is conducted in Malay language, and also their students may sometimes talk in Malay language instead of English language during the English subjects. So the next point is difficulties in learning grammatical aspect of language. So this is also the major issues in learning as second language students. So this is an aspect of the language such as uses of prepositions, the correct tense, article, and also subject-verb agreements. The students usually re-emphasize on the importance of the grammar in the language. Thus, they tend to make more and more mistakes by doing so. The grammatical aspect of the language itself possesses the biggest problem in the understandings of the students when they learn English as their second language. So so the next point is competency in reading, speaking, listening, and writing is very low in our students' daily learning. Normally, students can distribute into this category of factors, which are attitude, geographical locations, and ethnics. So in Malaysia, the 4 basic language skills are listening, speaking, writing, and reading. So there are really lack of understanding and or internalizing of the grammatical aspect of English cause the Malaysian students to make mistake in speaking and writing, and this is the really crucial incompetency in listening and reading comprehensions. So I'm going to explain about the strategies to overcome the major problems faced by our students in our topic. So the first point is we should focus on the students' preferred learning style and the readiness levels and interests of our students themselves. So we have decided to use the combination of native and target language, which are Malay and English language. We stay within the target language as much as possible, but conducting the activities in English, but allowing the student to discuss among themselves or ask questions in Malay. As we acknowledge, the students are still highly dependent on their first language. So in the interview sessions, we ask each of them which of the activities are their preferred activities in learning English language. So we take the major choice of the students. For example, like they choose 3 over 5 of the activities purposes. So we use that activities as the most preferred activities for them to learn English language more efficiently. So for the second point is we use a systematic curriculum. Before conducting the activities, we have held meetings which took place from 8 to 10 p.m. on 6th of October 2017, and also on 13th of October 2017, as to collect adequate data and make comparisons. We have prepared a total of 8 activities altogether, 4 activities for each season, whereby each activities focus on the different part of speech, taking into account the strategies obtained through literature review. So we use the curriculum to get to know which activities is well efficient to conduct to further improve their language, their English language learnings. So next point is we create an active and interactive learning environment. For this part, we had held the activities in our course coordinator's house, who is Dr. Maslawati herself. So it is quite a good environment because the children often pay there, all of them. So we decided to conduct the activity there and also create an interactive learning whereby we ourselves joined the activities to further build our bonds with the kids, with the students, so they can become more comfortable in learning English language with us. So for the last point is we focus on the practice of skill essential in language learning. So after the interview, we focus on after the first interview, we focus on creating more efficient activities based on their interests of the activities, the games, for example. So a few factors that we take into considerations during the planning of these activities were: first, the activities focus on the practice of skills essential in language learning, and we also take into considerations the tasks and materials are interesting and also relevant to the students. And next is the learning is must be active and interactive. This is the points, the major points that we take into account. So this is also, there is also joy and satisfactions in learning. So that's the only strategies we can come up with. So that is also our hopes to further increase or improve the English learnings of students in standard 5 and also standard 6 in Malaysia. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Azizul Mahat, A158 and 153, and I'm here to talk about the listening process of this activity. First of all, we have designed and carried out two listening activities which are fill in the gaps and train your brain. The first activity was carried out by playing a short video film from a movie where student was given a handout consisting of a dialogue with empty spaces for them to listen and fill in. The next activity is train your brain was conducted by dividing these students to two groups and with the involvement of our own group members to help. Whereas the activity is to divide the student and make them listen to message regarding a picture shown to the first recipient, which he or she will pass the message along to the next person until the last person of the members will deliver it again to check the similarity from the first one. Okay, throughout the first activity, we note that the student have above average level of mastery in listening skills. During the first activity, students were able to recognize simple and familiar words with ease, where the video was only requested to repeat once. The highest score obtained was full mark by student C, whereas the lowest is 7 out of 10, which are considerably high. The student appeared to have sufficient vocabulary to able to catch simple terms with little difficulty, or as one of them mentions, they catch the missing word by reading the rest of the sentence, and it's a good way to find the answer. For the next part is the train your brain activity. Students have shown improvements in terms of engagement, and they are more comfortable to talk and more familiar with the mode of our instructions and the competitive nature of this activity induce better focus and a sense of accomplishments. The activity was carried out for a considerably long period of time, but the participants clearly enjoyed it and they were more comfortable to converse in English with us, the facilitators. At the end of this activity, most of the sentences turn out to be different from the original sentence that we give to them. As one of the example is, there are 3 boys on the bridge and 3 girls sweeping the floor. When it's delivered to us again, it changes. There are 3 people on the bridges swimming. This inability to guess correctly to repeat the sentences correctly might due to lack of the comprehension of the statement, maybe the lack of time to memorize it, as we only give them 30 seconds to memorize it, or maybe because they are unable to describe their mental image after they have heard the message. 2 of the students described this activity as the hardest activity among all of them, but 4 of them said that they enjoy this game the most. We compare this activity to 4 types of comparison, which are the difficulty level, the confidence level, the characteristic of this activity, and the student engagements. For the difficulty, fill in the gap. The first activity, we put it easy to medium, while train your brain medium to hard. And we can see that in the confidence levels, for the first activity, their confidence level is just moderate, while it improves on the next level. This the characteristic of these 2 activities is that for the first one, we emphasize on the ability to hear simple noun and verb to see their baseline of their understanding in English. For the second one, the train your brain, we emphasize on listening, memorizing, and delivering the message that we give it to them. It's quite hard for them, but it's interesting. For the student engagement, we see that for the first activity, they have moderate level of engagement, but in the next activity, they engage in this activity actively That's all for listening. Thank you.
Next is category number 2, which is reading. So for reading, we have 2 activities, which is Would You Rather Be and Guess the Words. So Would You Rather Be we conducted during the first meet, while for Guess the Words we conducted it during the second meet. And from these 2 activities, we differentiate some element, which is confidence level, students' characteristic, the students' condition, and the student engagement during these 2 activities. So for the confidence level, when we conducted the activity Would You Rather Be, their confidence level was low. I think from our observation, we are very sure this is because that was their first meet with us, so they feel a little bit shy. But during the second meet, they feel like we are their friend, so we can see that their confidence of level was improved. The way they talk to us, the way they mingle with us, we can see that. And during the activity also, they are very active compared to the first activity, which is Would You Rather Be. Next is the characteristic. This activity, the characteristic is our aim is to encourage students to read aloud and increase vocabulary. That's why we prepare 2 cards for the activity Would You Rather Be, because we want them to read it aloud together with me, and then many words from the card also actually a new word. So this is very important for them to improve their vocabulary as well. And for the second activity during the second meet, which is Guess the Words, we just want them to know a lot of vocabulary. That's why during this activity, most of the words is very new. Is a bit, we can see, a bit difficult for an elementary student like them to know the meaning. But that's okay, because our aim is that we want to improve their vocabulary. And then the condition during this activity was conducted. We can see for the first activity, the students discuss mostly in Malay. This is a bit sad for us, but it's okay. During the second activity, they have a very limited discussion because they are very focused on what they are doing, and they are from my observation personally, I can see that they are very immersed in the activity, and they used to discuss, but they don't discuss in Malay. They started to discuss in English because during the second meet, actually we become more strict, and we want them to try their best, to try their hard, to not using Malay if they want to discuss. Actually, we don't want them to discuss, we want them to be focused. But it's okay, we let them to discuss, but make sure they discuss in English. And that's what happened. They try their best to speak in English. And lastly is to the engagement. For the first activity, which is Would You Rather Be, they are very active. They read aloud together with me, with a very loud voice. And also they said after the activity, we asked them if they have new vocabulary, they have new words, and they said yes, they have. And but for the guess the words activity, the engagement is a bit low. Low to moderate means doesn't mean they are not engaged in the activity, but they are more focused on the activity. They are too immersed, and that makes them their communication with us as the facilitator was very limited. They ask us a little question, and then they do everything on their own. What we can see here is that they become more freedom, and they become more confidence to do the task on their own rather than depending on us too much. So that's for reading activity.
Hi, I'm Mei Lin. Let us proceed with the third category, which is speaking. We have designed 2 activities for the students. The first one, let's play with the past, and the second one, tongue twister. The first speaking activity, let's play with the past, was a board game designed for the practice of using past tense. Well, for the second speaking activity, which is the tongue twister, we involve the students reading aloud a simple tongue twister, faze waze, while passing a notebook in a circle, where the last person holding the notebook when the time is up had to pick a number representing a word which they use to construct a sentence. For the first speaking activities, the students were very weak in speaking, both not confident, and they were unable to speak without grammatical mistakes. They ended up discussing in their native language, and they require a longer time and struggle to think of their ideas in English. Well, for the second speaking activity, which is the tongue twister, their confidence level had improved. This is because tongue twister practice their articulation to speak clearly, quickly, and accurately. They were more relaxed after the tongue twister exercise. They were also able to think of the sentence within a shortened time frame. So the next differences is the characteristic. Let's Play with the Past were more emphasized on grammar and speaking skills, while the tongue twister was more emphasized on the grammar and also pronunciations. For the first meeting, they were dependent on their native language, which is Malay, while for the second activity, tongue twister, they almost use full English in their conversation and also the speaking activities. Obviously, they were actively engaged for the second speaking activity if compared to the first activity. This is because they were more relaxed when they are engaged with the tongue twister exercise.
My name is Yong Sin, matching number A159264, and I'm going to tell you about the writing activities that we have organized with the students. For the first activity is postcard writing, where the students were given postcards and they have to write to a friend or family member about a vacation that they had in the location that was given. For the second activity, What's Your Dream?, we showed them a motivational video by a famous football player Cristiano Ronaldo, and they were required to write about their hopes and dreams for the future. For the first activity, the students have very low confidence level and they preferred peer guidance and discuss amongst themselves in Malay a lot. And in their writing, we found that they tend to memorize formats of writing. For this case, they wrote like a letter, and it's very long. And they also made a lot of grammar mistakes, such as mixing up the past and present tenses. They also said that writing is the most difficult part of speech for them. For the second activity, the confidence level of the students increased, and they spend more time thinking than writing. So this is good because our point is to emphasize on their higher order thinking skills. They were able to write independently, and they have less discussion amongst themselves. So for conclusion, the students were more diverse in mastery of English and also in terms of personality than we have expected. However, they were very engaged during the process of the teaching and learning. We found that it's also very important to provide a very comfortable space for them to learn, so that they will feel safe in the environment to share with their friends and also to self-reflect on their learning. However, we suggest to separate the students during assessment to decrease the interruption by their friends, and also to teach grammar rules after we have built up their confidence in writing or speaking in English. Through it all, we enjoyed every part of designing and also preparing these activities for the students. This activity also increased our understanding on the difficulties faced by students from upper elementary in learning English as a second language, and also their preferences in learning English. We think that this project really helped us to become a competent, creative, and also professional teacher in the future. And we would like to thank Dr. Maslawati for helping us prepare a space and also giving us her time to prepare this activity for us. And that's all of our findings. Thank you very much.